Hi, everyone, and welcome to the 51st episode of Slime Time, the official Dragon Quest Dragon's Den podcast. This is Liam Land.
And this is Pendy. Hey, Liam, I just picked up Dragon Warrior 7 for the PlayStation 1. I even got it with the original case and manual.
Nice. That's a great find. So have you played much of the game?
Yeah, it's great and all, but that's not what I'm really excited about. What I'm really excited about is that on the back of the manual, it says Dragon Warrior 4 Remake coming 2002. That's awesome. 4 is one of my favorites in the series, and I've never played the PlayStation Remake before. Have you played it? What's it like?
Yeah. About that, Pendy. I mean, you should be prepared for disappointment. It never happened.
What? But the manual says, and 4 is my favorite, and what a load of gum pod.
No, agreed. It's totally road apples. But we'll get into that later. While Pendy readjusts to this new worldview, let's venture forth into today's topic. This episode takes us back to a look at Dragon Quest history, back to a deeply emotional time with the fan base almost 20 years ago now. The cancellation and localization, cancellation of the localization of Dragon Warrior 4 for PlayStation.
A load of gum pod.
This is true. Today, our guests are two ROM hackers working on a project to set right what once went wrong and uncancel Dragon Warrior 4 for PlayStation. We welcome Mandy Wilkins and Marcus Schroeder to the party.
Hello.
Oh, hi.
All right.
Hi.
Welcome, guys.
Nice to meet you guys.
Welcome, everybody. So how did you originally get into the Dragon Quest series? Mandy, we'll start with you.
Okay, word. Yeah. So I am a huge dork about RPGs, and I like to keep like a spreadsheet of like the games I'm gonna play next. And Dragon Quest was literally always at the bottom of it for like a long time. I don't know where I got this impression, but I got this impression that they were like super traditional and like no frills, like sword and sorcery. And I just didn't think that that was my thing. But then a friend of a friend started playing Dragon Quest 11 and got like super excited about it and was trying to tell everybody like in their network to play Dragon Quest. And so eventually it got to me, and they described, like Sylvando in the game, and like they had never experienced Puff Puff before in Dragon Quest. And it was just like not what I expected from Dragon Quest at all. So yeah, I decided to give Dragon Quest XI a try. I think a lot of people got into Dragon Quest through Dragon Quest XI, and yeah, I went through it. I didn't beat the post game. I got to the credits because I heard there were spoilers, and so I decided to play every single other mainline game before finishing off Dragon Quest XI. So I'm almost there. I've played most of them at this point. But yeah, I just am completely obsessed with Dragon Quest now. I'm seriously hooked. So yeah, that's how I got into Dragon Quest.
Wow, awesome. Yeah, that's a really good entry point because it does cover off on like it's like you hear people say it's the love letter to the franchise itself with everything old and new in one game. And it has so it has a very familiar feeling, but they're also venturing forth on new territory, which is amazing.
It's the soundtrack too, just going through the old games after hearing like a lot of the songs, it just makes things like so much more familiar too.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. And that's the same perspective on the other end where you've played it, you played them growing up or you played them for a couple of years and then you hear it again in the game. And I think does the definitive edition have orchestral sound?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, they added that to the definitive. Cool. It's 11's great as being having a dual role of being a great starter for people who've never played Dragon Quest before, and then a perfect game for people who've played them all throughout the years. And you said you're going back and playing like the early ones. You could probably play for at least for the post game like 1 through 3, and then that'd be good to go for what you're going to see in the ending. But yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, I've already made up my mind. I'm playing all of them. Maybe not Dragon Quest 7.
That's great.
7, yeah, 7 will take you probably about 7 years to play. No, yeah, there's a lot of content in 7. It's kind of one of those reasons why people either really love it or are just kind of get bogged down in it. But Yeah, Marcus, how about you? How did you originally get into the Dragon Quest series?
Yeah, funny to hear from Mandy. That's kind of the same motivation, actually. I started with Final Fantasy games back in starting with Final Fantasy VII, and I continued all of that. And then I thought, yeah, well, there's also another video game series out there, which is Dragon Quest. And because I'm also a retro gamer, I thought, yeah, why not looking into Dragon Quest 1, 2, and 3? And then I saw, there's these SNES versions of them, and they are translated so nice. I can play them. And I did this in 2020. So really starting with part 1, then 2, and then 3. So it was really a nice experience for an old RPG gamer to come in contact with this video game series. The thing is, then it stopped, so to say, at 4. So this was the part, I guess, why we are here.
Awesome.
Nice. So for both of you, what's your favorite mainline and spin-off game? I don't know if either of you have played any spin-off games in the series yet, but if you do, what's your favorite mainline game and spin-off game? And we'll start with Mandy.
Cool. Yeah, I have played the spin-off games and also love them.
Okay.
But yeah, as far as mainline goes, definitely Dragon Quest V. I just like probably, in my opinion, one of the greatest stories I think told in an RPG, at least that I've ever played. Especially being so old. One of like the early Super Nintendo games. But yeah, just like was really compelling for me. And like I think that Nimzo boss battle is probably one of my favorites in the series. And yeah, I played the Super Famicom version. And yeah, I was just like really into Super Nintendo RPGs back when I played it. And so it's I think just up there. And I'm also gonna replay it on the PS2.
Oh, nice.
Probably pretty soon because I was able to get that translated, like do the patch. But yeah, as far as spin-offs go, actually the second Dragon Quest game I played was Dragon Quest Builders 2. And it's just, I think it's like a perfect game. Like they took like everything that was like good game design from like Minecraft and Stardew Valley, and I mean from Dragon Quest, and they put them all into like one game. It's just like so compelling as a game. So and yeah, it definitely, after playing that, it helped me appreciate Dragon Quest 2 a lot more.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, with 5, that's oftentimes pointed out as like one of the best stories that Dragon Quest has to offer, and just from RPGs in general. So that's awesome. What about you, Marcus?
So as I said, I only can tell about 1, 2, and 3 because I had no time to look into the other games. But I actually ordered some of them, so I have them in the shelf, but I had no time to look into them. And I actually want to play them chronically, so it's really, I stopped at 4, because I thought, actually I want to play 4 and then 5, 6, 7 and so on. So yeah, that's why I'm stuck here.
Do you have a favorite among the 4 that you played?
So the last, this part 3 was really long, and I really liked it. So
awesome. Yeah,
well, that'll be good motivation for your project. Like I can't continue unless I finish this ROM hacking project.
So it's really, if I would continue, then maybe this project would be so okay, then it's fine, or I play the DS version or something. But I thought, no, I am from this PlayStation era, so I want to play the PlayStation version.
That's awesome.
I was in the same boat. I wanted to play 4, and I didn't have a DS at the time, so I was like, I'm gonna start translating the PlayStation one, pick up this project.
Funny. Same motivation.
I ended up playing it. I got a DS, but I was originally planning on translating it and then playing the PlayStation one.
Awesome. So what is it that draws you to the series most? Why do you like Dragon Quest more than some other RPG series? Mandy, you want to start?
Yeah, I really like Dragon Quest because it's like they're RPGs that have just like a ton of heart, I think. They're really straightforward, but it doesn't mean that they're not like just like full of emotion, full of like adventure and whatnot. I don't know if either of you have read the Tim Rogers review of Dragon Quest XI that's on Kotaku, but I think he
I have.
really like it's super long. It's like absurdly long, but it rules. It's so good. But he says that like Dragon Quest games are like bedtime stories, that like you can play them in like half-hour sessions and just get like a complete experience. And in every half hour you play, like going to a dungeon or like visiting a town, like talking to people. I don't know. They're just like comfort RPGs for me. And yeah, like he said, like just nice little bedtime stories.
Yeah, I'd like to say that if anyone out there listening gets a chance to either read his reviews or watch his YouTube videos on the original or the definitive edition of his review of Dragon Quest XI, it's very entertaining. It's nice.
Awesome. How about you, Marcus? What draws you to the series most? Why do you like Dragon Quest more than other RPG series?
Because of the turn-based battle system, actually. So I really like this, that you have somehow strategy you can play. Because most of the news RPGs have these action battle systems, and sometimes you don't see what happens here and so on. And for a turn-based one, you can really have think about what you want to do. And it's really charming. It uses magic. I like magic a lot. And also, I love really the music. So it really dragged me, this music. So, yeah.
Great.
It's awesome. So, for both of you, do you have favorite monsters or characters from the series? Not coincidentally, mine is Pizarro in character and monster form. Mandy, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I was gonna say like Sar was so good as a character and a boss. I just like really like that staged boss battle. Just like really cool to see the boss like morph. But I think that Dragon Lord is like super underrated. He's got like a great design, and I don't know if either of you have, or you probably have played Dragon Quest Builders, but that like plot twist at the end, he's like asked you to join him, and if you say yes, I don't know. There's like a lot of like time stuff with Dragon Lord, which I like, and with Dragon Quest Builder, it's just like super cool. As far as enemies, though, I think I really like the design of Phantom Fencer. Just like the cape with the sword is really cool. And then from Dragon Quest Monsters Joker 2, there's Kanzar, who's that slime operating the the big like golden crab suit. I love that guy. So cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, that transformation scene with Pizarro at the end of 4. Like I played it, way back in the day for the Nintendo, and to see that as a little kid was just amazing, and still is amazing to me how he just transforms and finally gets into his final form is great.
Yeah.
What about you?
Also kind of gross too, right?
Well,
yeah, he's so nasty.
I think it's amazing because it's gross.
Especially like the later versions, because they take it up a notch with that transformation.
Yeah, and you can see that influence on future games too, like Orgo Demir. That's in 7 is like that's even worse.
Oh,
that's even more gross.
Everything's dripping.
Yeah, exactly.
What about you, Marcus?
Yeah, so when I have to pick one, I would maybe pick Orochi also. Or is it called Orochi? in part 3. This one where you have in this Japanese village or so, and then you go down.
The Orochi.
Orochi,
yeah. Choice.
Yeah, Orochi. Yeah.
I mean Orochi, yeah. I found, and also it has this sound when you come nearer, and then it directly makes this wah sound, and it was really nice. There comes this boss battle now. So
Yeah, that's actually based on I think an actual Japanese myth too, which is pretty cool. I actually I saw a reference to that outside of Dragon Quest 3 not too long ago, and I was like, oh wow, I didn't realize. I thought that was just something they wrote in, and it's like actual mythology that finds its way into the game.
yeah, it was really cool. Yeah.
Cool. So do you have, Mandy, do you have any favorite mechanics in Dragon Quest games, monster collecting, job classes, or casinos, or anything like that?
Yeah, I think like just I mean the battle system is perfect. It hasn't changed a whole lot, even up to 11, which, there's controversy over 12 maybe having a different mechanic, but all the other ones are just so simple and good. But I think besides that, I don't know if it's a mechanic, but like I just really like that every character in the game has something important to say. Like there's clearly no filler characters who just, say something meaningless. Yeah, I was thinking about this earlier, especially with regard to Dragon Quest IV. There's like a part where you like meet a guy in a bar who's like gonna ask his crush out on a date, and then you see him on the boat later, and he's been rejected, and he's like going to move to some other town, and then you actually get to that other town, and he's like starting like a new life, and I just think that's so cool to like as like a story building thing, and I think that's like consistent in every game.
Oh yeah, that's what's great about Dragon Quest is that like one of the things that it's known for is building that atmosphere, that world building with all the characters and towns and things that they come up with. That's a good observation because they are very famous for doing that.
Was there not also this mechanic?
Yeah. Do you have any favorite mechanics like monster collecting or job classes or like the casino system, any of the mini games?
Yeah, I just want to say it reminds me about this one where you have this story about this village, and is built while you playing the game, and when you visit again the village, it grows more and more, and then you have this small story about this one builder or so, and it was funny that you again and again comes to this village and see what happens there. So yeah.
Awesome. And I think did that start in 7 with like the immigrant town, Pendy, like that kind of.
There's a town in 3.
That was in 3.
Yeah.
Oh, that was in. Oh, that's right. You're right. Yeah, that's
the
immigrant town. Yeah, the new town. Yep. Oh, that's so fantastic. I did a playthrough recently, and I named the merchant. I made the merchant my daughter, who had just turned 1 at the time, and I'm playing it through with my 4-year-old son, and they get to the point where the merchant's like locked up for being greedy and corrupt. And now like I think in the remakes of 3 you get the merchant back, but in the original NES version I don't think you do. I think the merchant's just like in jail perpetually. So they locked my daughter up for being too greedy of a merchant.
Yeah, your merchant stays in jail in the Game Boy version too. That was the
yeah. Oh, yeah. I think what was the version that you get them back then? What am I thinking of? Maybe the mobile version or the Super Famicom version. I don't remember.
That could be the SNES version, yeah. So if I remember correctly, you get him back, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, that's definitely a fun mechanic as well. That kind of town building that you could see kind of ripple through some of the other games as well, including some of the remakes where they added in like in the DS versions where you could kind of connect games and share character info. All right, so let's get into the history of what happened here with Dragon Warrior 4 PSX. It's 2001. Dragon Warrior 7 releases for PlayStation. I remember being a regular on the Enix forums for about a year or two at that point. For a lot of us back then, and even now, Dragon Warrior 4 is our favorite Dragon Quest game. The characters, the stories, the music, all just amazing. And in the back of the Dragon Warrior 7 booklet, as we alluded to earlier, is an ad for Dragon Warrior 4, a remake that features an updated version of the game engine for Dragon Warrior 7, coming 2002. It looks incredible. The hype among the fan base is intense. Brand new Dragon Warrior styled game, coupled with the announcement of a remake of a classic game in the same style. So suddenly 2002 rolls around, and without warning, the project is abruptly canceled. According to an interview we did with Nob Agaswara, who was our translator for a translator at Enix of America and our admin on the Enix forums, the development company behind Dragon Warrior 7 and the 4 remake, Heartbeat, was actually a little bit insulted that they were made to compete with other companies for the Dragon Quest 8 project that they ended up disbanding and effectively shutting down the Western release of Dragon Warrior 4. So the Western fan base was devastated. However, a few of us way back then, however few of us there were back then, rather, we did everything we could to try to salvage what information we could, bugging the admins, asking real nicely to try and get the proprietary code. It just wasn't possible, and it wasn't something anyone was willing to leak. So fans tried diving into the Japanese version to see if a translation project would be possible, but the proprietary code proved to be too complex at the time to decipher. So basically nothing worked, and the fan base was forced to just deal with it. And it would be about 6 years before the West would see a similar remake ported to the Nintendo DS.
Yes, and for the Dragon Quest News Network, I was able to interview Enix of America's PR representative at an E3 in Los Angeles in 2002, and he also confirmed that Heartbeat disbanding pretty much tanked the project. They just didn't have the resources to do it without the original company that made it supporting them. So with that being said, among the fan translation community, this project has been on again, off again for almost 20 years. Some past attempts have started and failed. So for you guys, what inspired you both to pick this project up, and what are both of your roles in the project? Are you both ROM hackers, and do you have a translation for the script yet? Mandy, we'll start with you.
Yeah. So I think I mentioned this already before, but I really just wanted to play Dragon Quest IV. And yeah, I'm a huge fan of the PlayStation and just like the art style that Dragon Quest VII and Dragon Quest IV was going to be in. And so seeing that this wasn't available, but seeing that there was a thread on romhacking.net, I was like, maybe I'll give this a shot. I'm actually I don't know if I would consider myself a ROM hacker. I guess I am now. But I do embedded development for a living, so it's really a lot of similar concepts. So this is all stuff I'm like super used to. But yeah, we don't really have roles. We're both kind of tackling things at the same time, and we're both also like enormously busy. So things have been a bit slow. But we do have a translator. I'm in contact with a translator named Sparrow.
I know them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know them through the community. That's awesome.
That's great.
Yeah, they did the delocalized Dragon Quest Monsters.
They did
one just recently. So yeah, they're definitely going to be helpful here. But yeah, just waiting for us to have the proper tools to actually do translation. But and that might be a while. But yeah, they said they're on board.
Yeah, I've played projects that they've done in the past. So quality translators. That's awesome.
Cool. How about you, Marcus?
Yeah, so what do I have to say? It's actually the copy of what Mandy said. So yeah, it's kind of the same. Looking at the game, then seeing, it's just in Japanese, then maybe checking some of the resources in the internet, what people did here, and then I thought, so hard, it cannot be so hard in the end. So then I just looked into it, and then there was this. That's why it's so difficult to do. So this was kind of the motivation.
Cool. So we talked about the complexities of the code that have baffled ROM hackers in the past. Can you describe what some of those complexities were and how you were able to get around what's been a roadblock for previous attempts to hack Dragon Warrior 4 PSX?
Yeah. This is maybe it's like super technical. But so yeah, I'm trying to maybe think about how to describe this in a more simple way. But the big thing, so we were able to extract all of the Japanese text, or at least the dialogue from the game, and so that's all out now. So we can look at that and review it and translate it. But getting it back in is also not an issue. We can put we can re-encode the English text and then put it into the game. And actually, Marcus was able to get that and into the game and show it on screen. But the big issue is that in every level there's some kind of dialogue script that's like, okay, this character moves over here, this sound plays, and then this dialogue plays, and where it says that dialogue is going to play, it points to a part in the memory to actually read the dialogue and decode that and put it onto the screen, and that is not something that we really know where it's stored at all. And so the way we can get dialogue on screen right now is to kind of interrupt that process and put in our own pointer to the English dialogue. But the issue is there's so much dialogue in the game that we'll run out of space in the binary to keep putting that pointer map, so to speak. And so right now the big hurdle is figuring that out. But I think that there's a way around that, and I've been doing a lot of research into getting around that roadblock, whether it's through creating a generalized kind of pointer map system, pointing it to maybe a part of the dialogue where it can show where each bit is. But I don't know, it's very complicated. I'm butchering this.
No, I'm getting what you're putting down. Yeah, I'm understanding that.
Yeah, maybe I can also give some update some update about this. So this was my first attempt actually to add this into the binary file. But as you said, this is true. This will be too large. So then I thought, okay, maybe we can put it back into where the data is. And I tried different things. So at some point, you have some space left in these blocks you have in the ROM. So you maybe can fill them with some pointer maps and load them at the end. So this could be somehow possible, but it's still in progress. So I'm not sure if we can do this method with all the dialogue. So for me, it would also be nice when just 90% of something would be translated. So, yeah.
So are there any other hurdles that you've come along in the project? I know with past ROM hackers that we've talked to on Slime Time, there was a common issue where you would run into the fact that the English would be take up a lot more space than the Japanese in the dialogue windows. So you'd have to do it effectively, you'd have to hack the windows so that you could expand more space to put in the English. Is that something that you have to worry about with this game or no?
Yeah. Well, in a way, because the game is only in Japanese, it uses a Japanese font to display things, and so there are English letters inside of that font, but they're super wide, and so having the English dialogue in there, it takes up a lot more space. Luckily, there's different codes in the dialogue which tells it to do a new line or go to a new dialogue box or wait for user input. And so we're able to actually get around that issue, luckily, by using the game's own system. And I've actually written up some code that actually, says okay, there's 23 characters in a line. So if we filled up most of that and we got a new word, input a new line. And if, we're on the second line, we just have to create a new dialogue box, that kind of thing. Hopefully it'll be something we can get around. The issue is, whoever's playing the game will have to press A lot more than in a properly translated one. But that could be something we work on in the future. But obviously there's a lot more, bigger roadblocks in our way right now.
Right.
So is there party chat that you're translating as well? And does the translation process feel as large as Dragon Warrior 7's famously massive script?
I don't know. Do we have the party script extracted? So do you know this many?
I think we do. Okay. I've done a lot of. I've translated the first. So I have done a some work matching up the Japanese script from the PlayStation version with the English script from the Android version.
Okay.
So I wrote up so basically the Android version, if you look into the APK file, the ROM, there's a folder which has all the dialogue, and so there's English dialogue and there's Japanese dialogue, and so I wrote up a quick Python script which basically matches the Japanese dialogue of the PlayStation version with the Japanese dialogue of the Android version, and so I've been able to translate just like automatically something like 70% of the dialogue using that method, which is pretty neat. I think that there's a lot of controversy with the Android one because it uses that kind of like that weird era of Dragon Quest translations where there was like thick accents on everybody, and it was like I mean I don't know, I find it kind of difficult to read, but
Yeah, there's other people that do too. About that.
Yeah.
On the forum post, there are people who are like, please, like, do not use the Android translation. And, I was able to get 70% of it translated already. So fight me. I'm going to use that.
I think the most it comes up is like the very beginning chapter where they translated Berlin to be like Scottish, and like you feel like you're still doing translation work just playing. But
Yeah, the elf.
The elf.
Is it Eliza?
I think something like Eliza. She's got some party chat, even though I don't think she enters your party.
Oh, nice.
So
Forgot about that.
Yeah,
because there's the infamous DS version where they decided to not translate the party chat, and we didn't actually get to see the party chat until the mobile version. And I know there's a hack now where you can actually add the party chat to the DS version that someone did recently, but yeah, that'll be great to see in the PlayStation version as well, because I know they had started the party chat in that version too.
Yeah, I don't think that'll be an issue.
Cool.
Or well,
yeah,
I don't know. We'll see.
I didn't realize somebody patched the mobile party chat into the DS version. That's pretty neat.
Yeah. About I want to say a month ago, it came out.
Oh,
so
okay,
now you're able to do that.
Awesome.
With that in mind, I do want to thank you, both of you, for picking this project up. A lot of people just don't realize the graphical differences between this version and the DS mobile versions. As far as I know, the content is the same as the future remakes, but the graphical presentation is so much different. Like in the PlayStation 1 version, there are much more dynamic camera angles, such as when you enter the first castle, and so much more detail in the 3D aspects of the graphics. Like pawns have depth instead of just being blue squares. Windows have actual ledges instead of just being painted squares on a wall. Signs for shops are hung out from the walls on poles instead of just being painted on. The foliage is more dynamic. You actually pick up pots and barrels and you throw them instead of just touching them and they automatically explode. I mean, it's quite honestly, in my opinion, the best looking version of the game out there. And that being said, I haven't played through much of the PlayStation 1 version yet. Are there any other differences that you might know from your time in the games as well that you've seen?
Yeah, the funny thing is for me that I just know the first scene because I did this a lot of debugging during checking how to do it and so on. But yeah, as you said, you can throw things and you can turn the camera, and just because of this how it looks like, I really want to play it. So this was also motivation just to see again and again the first scene and thinking, could this be translated here?
Yeah, and I believe that first scene, right, wasn't that that was added for the PlayStation version, and eventually, the whole thing with Eliza turning into the frog.
There comes the Solitaire, and then you go out of it, and then you come to the village. Then there comes this frog. Then you go maybe back. the frog goes into becomes someone. Yeah, so I just know this part of the game.
Yeah. And then there's also the fact that you can find Sorrow like scoping out the village and kind of skulking around in the at the inn, and you can just, and that's there, that's kind of subtly there in the NES version. I don't know if it's more overt in the Japanese original Famicom version, but in the NES version they just have like a generic sprite for a minstrel that then later gets changed into the Sorrow sprite, and in the PlayStation version you have like the full-on Sorrow sprite, and he's just hanging out in the village saying like, hey, I'm a minstrel just traveling. And then the village gets attacked later. It's just kind of like weird foreshadowing thing. So that happens in chapter 5, at the beginning of chapter 5 in the original, and now in the PlayStation version they've moved that, like that section of the chapter they've moved sort of like towards the beginning. So you have that experience with meeting the hero first and playing a little bit of their story before starting chapter 1, and then just having to kind of build back up to that moment.
Yeah, I like that they did that. I had no idea that Sorrow was in the beginning there. Maybe I didn't pick up on that. I played the DS version actually pretty recently. And yeah, I guess also to kind of get into this question, yeah, I think the PS1 version is just like a lot more beautiful generally, which is why I wanted to play it over the DS version. But there are also some pretty minor things which I think are interesting. I mean, I guess this is from like my perspective, like looking into translating the game, but when you have any kind of dialogue in the PS1 version, there's like a little sound that plays as the text goes by, which I think is interesting, and I think that changes depending on the person you're talking to and what dialogue it is. And see, that's kind of interesting to me because within these text blocks which contain the Japanese dialogue, there's a bunch more data that we haven't been able to decode, and I'm really fascinated by this. I don't know if Marcus is, but there's the dialogue, and then there's another little bit of text which describes what comes afterwards, and we've been calling it the D block because there's like A, B, C, D blocks, and I think A through C is like strictly dialogue, but this D block contains more information that we haven't been able to decode. And I'm suspicious personally that this contains that script that I was talking about before. But it could also include that like weird like jingle that plays when the dialogue goes by. So I don't know, but I've been fascinated by that. And so even just like small differences in the PS1 version, I found have been really critical to look into, so we can understand like what's going on in that proprietary code and like the assembly and debugging the game. So
that's awesome. Yeah, I hadn't really thought about it, but I know exactly what you're talking about. There's that little like kind of like noise as the text goes across the screen, and that changes based on whether or not the character is supposed to have a low voice or a high voice.
Yep.
So yeah, that's pretty interesting because then you then have to kind of tie that in, and then does it go at the speed of the Japanese text, or do you have to make adjustments for the English text, or does it just flow kind of naturally with any text?
I don't think we'll have to adjust it, but or like really at all. But I'm just like, yeah, I'm curious about that from like a data aspect, because it's like how the code works is like when does that play and like where is it getting that data, and also does it explain what this mysterious D block is?
Yeah, it's really hard. You really have to imagine that you go to some of an NPC, then talk with this NPC, and then you have a breakpoint and check, okay, what's happening now? And this you do very often to check. Okay, what happens now? Where's the next pointer? What pointer was loaded, and so on. So yeah, it's really still a mysterious how it works or what this block does.
It sounds like the logic is very non-linear, and you have to kind of try to piece it together.
Yeah, so I really don't know where these script starting things are. So this would be really helpful if we would know that. So is, so to say, where to load the dialogue? Is this somehow in the binary encoded on specific places?
Mm-hmm. Do you keep any sort of wiki or notes and stuff to pass information back and forth when you kind of discover something new about the game?
Yeah, so I created a blog post. I don't know if Mandy, you first read this one and then you maybe create your own documentation or so. Don't know.
Yeah, I read your blog post maybe like 200 times.
Okay.
That really got me going with this. But yeah, I have all of my translation work is on GitHub. So if anybody wants to check that out, I would read Marcus's blog first before reading mine, because I'm trying to build off of that blog post. But yeah, all of my notes are there. At least, yeah, most of my notes, the notes that I've thought about and pieced together in a way that makes sense. I have like 100 text documents in the folder that are just like my ideas and theories of things. Maybe I'll upload those too, but right now it's just Marcus and I.
Cool. So do either of you have ROM hacking experience, or is this your first project?
So this was going to be my first project, but I figured doing something that a bunch of people had failed at before probably isn't great for a first project. And so before starting this, I decided to like challenge myself with some smaller things. So I did a few just like really basic hacks of the NES version of Dragon Warrior 1, where I changed the spell names to be the Square Enix spell names. So like instead of Blaze, it's Sizz or whatever. Maybe that translates to Frizz. I don't know. But so I did one with the NES. I did one with the Game Boy versions. Just like small things that I didn't release. But knowing I could do those gave me the inspiration to get started with this, and it definitely helped. It's really starting with the NES one shows, if you have a little bit of technical knowledge, like ROM hacking is something that people can do if they have programming experience. So I would definitely encourage people to start with something like that if they're interested in getting involved.
Yeah, so for me it was also the first one actually, and yeah, it's quite I guess the hardest one. Maybe actually. I first thought, okay, I just have to go in, then looking for some Japanese characters and change the Japanese characters to English ones, and then I'm done. But then you come along with this, okay, you have to first of all understand the database, what I have here, custom one, all these data blocks. Then the text is compressed, so you have to decompress it somehow. Then you have to check how this works, and then finally you really have to look at the sampler code. So it was really had to remember from my study time what this was all about, and checking with the debugger each line and so on. And you really get really fast into this rabbit hole. But yeah, so we found out many things. So in the end, we could embed some translation. It was just the first dialogue there, so it was just a proof of concept, so to say, to check, okay, is it actually possible to trick the game in putting their English text? So for me, this was okay, it is possible. Now we have to do it in a better way and improve it and do it for all the dialogues and so on and so on. And then the hard works comes, so or even more hard.
I think it's pretty amazing, like the amount of complexity now that the ROM hacking community has delved into for localizations and things like that, for translating games that were never translated from Japanese before. Just hearing both of you talk about all of the level of details and intricacies and what you have to kind of blindly initially go in and figure out from scratch, without having that proprietary code experience from working at the company that developed it, is just astounding to me. And I can understand why projects have kind of fizzled out in the past, but it's just amazing to hear that you guys have started this up and are deciphering it in any form, however far through the project you are.
Yeah, that's good. That's good of you to say, Marcus, because not a lot of people realize how complicated these kind of projects can be. They just think, oh, just insert the English text and then you're good to go, and it's simple and easy. And it's really not, as you pointed out, all the different complexities that you have to worry about, and decompressing and all sorts of little tricks that you have to learn to figure out how to do it. So it can be, I know from talking to a lot of ROM hackers that it can be complicated sometimes, depending on the project. And sometimes the way the code is written can be very complicated for people to figure out everything they need to do it correctly. So yeah, thank you. It can be quite the project sometimes, as I've heard from other ROM hackers. So with that, and also with that in mind, with everything that you guys are dealing with, so are both of you looking for any kind of help on your project? Like, Marcus, I'll throw this one at you. What is a good way to reach out to you if someone is interested in helping you out? You mentioned a blog, I think.
Yeah. So yeah, just to say this, we are very busy, unfortunately, with our jobs and so on.
Mm-hmm.
So we really need people who are, first of all, crazy enough to look into this one, and really have the passion to do it. So they definitely can contact us. We have all the documents and so on. We pass very friendly all of our knowledge to these people who want to contribute, and also for Mandy, I guess it's the same.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, really, yeah, you have to be definitely crazy to work on this. It's really pretty complicated, but it's definitely something that if anybody who wants to get involved with this just has the motivation to do it, it's something that I think could be understood even by someone who is not particularly experienced in ROM hacking. I mean, neither of us are, but definitely, yeah, we're looking for people with more time on their hands. I work 40 hours a week, and I do a lot more. I'm in a band. I volunteer for like 20 hours a week too. So I wish I had more time to work on this, but I really don't. But I'm really excited about this, and I hope if someone else gets started that we can push this along. Otherwise, it's going to go at the slow pace it's going at now as I find time. But yeah, if you want to get in contact, I'm on Twitter, I think at Realm of Mandy. You can also just search up like Dragon Quest IV PS1 translation. I think either the blog post or the GitHub will come up. But yeah, definitely contribute, and I will say I'm absolutely willing to get on a call with anybody and explain everything, because I really want this to happen. And so however it can happen, I just want it to happen. So yeah, definitely please reach out.
Great. And so I know you have obligations with school or work, but do you have a goal set for the project, an end game in sight that you're shooting for, a date or a year or a month, anything?
That's a rough one. At the rate we're working at now, I just don't know. I definitely don't want to give up on this necessarily, but just with how much I'm doing, yeah, this is definitely on the back burner.
Yeah, right. Also for me, so we had some email messages actually, but we also had not the time to exchange many things. So it's really unfortunate that yeah, we are so busy. So that's why it's so hard to put a date on this one.
No,
But it,
that's understandable. So if you are successful with this project, do you see yourselves tackling any other games in the future that haven't been translated yet, or is there anything out there that, in particular, that either of you are interested in? So I'll start with you, Mandy.
Yeah. Actually, I there is something that I really I think maybe that there's some effort in translating this already, but I don't know if either of you have heard of the like those like bootleg NES like ROMs from China. There was like the Final Fantasy VII demake that was released on the NES. And there's a bunch of them. There's like Chrono Trigger that's been ported to the NES like as a bootleg in China.
Oh, wow.
But they actually did Dragon Quest V that's been bootlegged onto the NES, but it's all in Chinese. I really want to get translating that because I think that'd be just a blast to play on the NES.
That's
But yeah,
interesting.
that might be in the future. I also I'm like intermediate with like speaking Chinese, so hopefully that won't be too difficult. Hopefully I'll be able to like understand it a bit more than this. Like because of Japanese, I can't understand anything.
What about you, Marcus?
Yeah, actually, for now, no, there is no uh, project yet. Yeah, but actually, speaking about language, I maybe try to in the future to learn Japanese more. So I was just at the beginning, so it could also be helpful to, while looking at the game, to understand the Japanese scripts and so on. So yeah, but for now, there's no project or so.
Great. So, I mean, in theory, you were talking a little bit earlier about if people are looking to jump in. If you had a bunch of new folks get in touch with you, would that revamp your schedule somewhat, or would you be able to kind of hop in and help ramp up new folks to help with the project?
Actually, just like being asked to get on this podcast gave me a lot of motivation to get back into working on this. So that D block, which I mentioned before, has been a thing I've been looking into like a lot in the past while, but also looking into this like general dialogue map kind of thing. But yeah, I'm taking a bunch of vacation in December. So if people want to get in touch, yeah, I'm around. I'm willing to call and get people up and like up to date with like everything that we're doing with this. So yeah, definitely if new people get in touch with us, it'll help us out a lot and definitely get me motivated to keep working on this.
Awesome.
But like I said before, I don't want to give up on this. We lost it in 2002, and I don't want that to happen again.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping we can get enough folks, to involved to maybe get a 2022 2022 release, and then we can it would be officially like 20 years since the
That's the
cancellation.
dream.
Yeah. That's great. So how do we get in touch with you both on social media? Mandy, you said Realm of Mandy.
Yeah, you got it on Twitter.
Marcus, how about you?
Yeah, you can contact me via mail, or yeah, I guess via mail is fine. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll have that contact information down in the show notes for everybody. So all right. Anything else, Pendy? Do you have any questions that kind of pop out?
No, that's all wonderful information from both of you. I'm glad to be able to interview you about this project that is so wonderful to see that is happening, and I look forward to one day, even if it's a long time from now, playing this game eventually. It'll be great. Very excited.
Yeah. Same here. I mean, Dragon Warrior 4, Dragon Quest 4 has been my favorite game since the the NES era. I really think it takes what 3 had built a foundation for the future of the series, and it just expands upon it with amazing characters, really awesome music, and storylines and everything. So yeah, I'm really excited to play this. I was super bummed in 2002 when this was canceled, yeah, so I even imported it from Japan back in 2002 and got like the boot disc for the PlayStation. Played it for like a hot minute because it was the pre-Google Translate days, and then that was it. It's now a trophy on my shelf, and I look forward
Me too.
to I look forward to someday being able to play this fully translated. It's going to be amazing. So thank you both.
Hopefully, if we can get this past this like roadblock, which I think is definitely possible, and I think Marcus showed that it is possible, we can get some kind of alpha build of the translation released with just the dialogue translated. I'm hoping that can happen in a reasonable time frame. So
awesome. And if you guys need beta testers, I mean, we'll take that up. I'm sure there's many people in the fan community that would love to kind of dive in and give feedback as well, even if they're unable to work on any of the actual ROM hacking.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's it for this episode of Slime Time. We do want to thank Mandy Wilkins and Marcus Schroeder for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having us on.
Yep.
Yes, thanks so much for being here.
So we don't use Patreon. We don't believe in siphoning money from other Dragon Quest fans, and when we can offer you quality content about the game series we know and love for free. If you do have money that is completely burning a hole in your wallet and you would like to donate anything to the website that's been supporting Dragon Quest fans for over 20 years, stop by Dragon's Den at www.woodus.com and click on support this site. Woodus has owned and maintained the Dragon's Den DQ fan site for decades. He personally edits every YouTube version of our podcast, and he fully appreciates any donations to help keep those servers running.
The Dragon's Den website also features an Amazon affiliate link. If you click that link and then make a purchase, a small fraction of the sale will go to support the Den. It doesn't cost you anything.
To advertise with us, reach out at slimetimepodcast@gmail.com. If you have any comments or questions for the Dragon Quest Slime Time podcast, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at DQ Slimetime.
Consider joining in tons of DQ discussions at the Dragon's Den forums, one of the few remaining forums still around. Find it from the Dragon's Den main page or at www.woodus.com/forums. You can also find me and other rabid DQ fans through the Dragon Questers Facebook group.
Or come hang out with us and tons of other hardcore Dragon Quest fans on the officially unofficial Dragon's Den Discord server.
We'd like to thank everyone that made this possible, like Woodus for his support of the series and this podcast, and keeping the Dragon's Den's lights on for decades.
Thanks to Amanda Lepre and the Descendants of Verdrick for allowing us to use their music for our podcast. Descendants of Verdrick is a video game tribute band from Austin, Texas. Check them out and their most recent album, Advent, at www.descendantsofverdrick.com or on Twitter at @DiaVerdrick. And check out Amanda Lepre streaming on Twitch.
Our thanks to Dwayne Bullock, our wonderful graphic artist / DQ fan, for making the awesome artwork cover for this podcast. Dwayne was on the original iteration of the Slime Time podcast. You can check out more of his work at Dwayne Art on Instagram or his website at dwaynebullockart.bigcartel.com.
Awesome. If you're looking for more Dragon Quest Slime Time, check out our earlier episodes on Dragon's Den, Anchor FM, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and more. I think we're even on Audible actually as well. I keep forgetting to add that in, but and check out we're available where podcasts are downloaded and listened to, and check out our brothers and sisters in arms over at the Slime Time Side Quest podcast. Their latest episodes are available now.
Bye, everyone.
Dragon Quest Slime Time, sliming off.